The shadows they cast across our imagination are immense. Pterodactyl, Velociraptor, Tyrannosaurus. They are the titans of prehistory, resurrected by cinema to embody an age of monsters. But for one of these icons, fame is built on a profound misunderstanding. The creature we call pterodactyl was, in reality, scarcely the size of a crow, weighing no more than a common house cat. The colossal, sky-darkening beasts of film were entirely different animals, lost beneath a name that did not belong to them. The story of this confusion begins in the year 1784. In Bavaria, the Italian naturalist Cosimo Collini found himself staring at a riddle etched in stone. A bizarre skeleton, unearthed from the region's fine limestone, defied all known biology. Its forelimbs were inexplicably longer than its hind limbs. A single finger on each hand, the fourth, was stretched to anal, yet entirely incorrect deduction. This, he declared, was a marine animal, some forgotten species of seal that used its strange appendages as flippers to navigate the ancient seas. For a quarter of a century, his theory stood unchallenged. The fossil was catalogued and displayed as a creature of the deep. It was not until 1809 that the French naturalist Georges Cuvier, a titan of early paleontology, cast a fresh eye upon the specimen. He saw not a swimmer, but a flyer. In a statement that would forever alter our vision of the past, he proclaimed it to be a flying reptile. He gave it a name derived from its most striking feature, pterodactyl, the Greek for winged finger. The scientific world was stunned. The revelation was absolute. Millions of years before the first bird, the skies belonged to reptiles, soaring on wings of skin and bone. Yet, in a twist of fate, Cuvier's groundbreaking name became too successful. Pterodactyl became a label so powerful, so evocative, that it was applied to every winged reptile ever discovered. The name for one small creature became the name for all. The true animal, Pterodactylus antiquus, was a far more delicate marvel. An adult's wingspan reached about 1 meter, less than that of a modern albatross. Its skull was an elegant, lightweight structure, with long, straight jaws holding up to 90 sharp, conical teeth. The largest were at the front, a perfect tool for one specific task, snatching slippery fish from the water's surface. Its body was compact, weighing a mere 2 to 5 kilograms, for the sky demands lightness. Its bones were hollow, filled with air sacs, their walls often thinner than a sheet of paper. A breathtaking compromise where nature sacrificed strength for the power of flight. On the heads of mature adults, a soft tissue crest would grow, a feature absent in the young, believed to be a vibrant display for attracting a mate. And the wings themselves were a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. That single, elongated fourth finger served as the primary support for a leathery membrane stretching down to its hind legs, while 3 other fingers remained free, tipped with sharp claws for gripping and climbing. This was not the brute of popular culture, but a subtle and sophisticated hunter of the Jurassic shores. The name we know so well belongs not to a monster, but to a ghost, a reminder that the truth of the past is often quieter and infinitely more fascinating than the legends we create for it. With hooked fingers, it could cling to the sheer face of a cliff or the high branches of an ancient conifer. The wing was never a simple sheet of skin. It was a living aerofoil, a complex patagium threaded with blood vessels and fine muscle fibers. This was an active, dynamic surface, allowing its master to minutely adjust its shape and tension, to feel the air and become one with it. To break the bonds of gravity, the pterodactyl employed an ingenious technique. It would turn to face the wind, unfurling its magnificent wings to catch the lifting currents, a method echoed millions of years later by the bats of our own time. Once airborne, it was a master of efficiency. It could soar for vast distances, a silhouette against the Mesozoic sun, with barely a flap of its wings. Its flight speed could reach between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour, a remarkable achievement for a creature whose ancestors had only recently mastered the art of crawling upon the earth. These were creatures of the sun. Possessed of superb vision, they commanded the daylight hours. From a great height, the world below was a map of opportunity. They would glide over shallow, sun-drenched lagoons and the warm, clear waters of primordial seas, their keen eyes scanning for the telltale shimmer of fish just beneath the surface. Upon spotting its quarry, the hunt was a spectacle of speed and precision. A sudden, steep dive, wings angled to cut through the air. The long beak would open, slicing the surface to snatch the unsuspecting victim, often without the creature's body ever touching the water. It was a maneuver of breathtaking accuracy. Yet, they were opportunists, not just elegant hunters, and would readily scavenge a dead fish or feed on carrion washed ashore. But to focus solely on Pterodactylus is to see but a single star in a sprawling galaxy. It is just one member of an immense and varied order of flying reptiles, the pterosaurs. And it is here that the true, staggering diversity of life takes flight. Science has identified more than 130 genera. They ranged from the diminutive, sparrow-sized Anurognathus to the monstrous, giraffe-high Quetzalcoatlus. For millions of years, the skies of the Mesozoic were filled with the most incredible winged beings that nature has ever conceived. A menagerie far wilder than any fantasy. Consider one of its relatives, Rhamphorhynchus. Here was a creature of dramatic and lethal elegance. A wingspan of nearly a meter, a weight of up to 3 kilograms. But its defining feature was a long, stiff tail, ending in a diamond-shaped vein of skin. This was no mere ornament. It was a sophisticated flight instrument, a stabilizer and a rudder, allowing it to execute hairpin turns and breathtaking aerial maneuvers in pursuit of prey. Rhamphorhynchus was a peerless fisherman. Its long, narrow jaws where rop and bottom would interlock, forming an inescapable cage of interlocking needles, a perfect trap for writhing, slippery fish. The stone itself tells the story of its last meal. Within the fossilized stomachs of these ancient hunters, paleontologists have discovered the undigested remains of fish and cephalopods. Even their coprolites, the fossilized excrement they left behind, contain the delicate scales and bones of their aquatic prey. A final, undeniable testament not only to what they ate, but how their bodies processed the world around them. Now, from the sunlit fissure, we turn to its polar opposite, a phantom of the Jurassic night. Imagine a pterosaur that could rest comfortably in the palm of your hand. This was Anurognathus, a wingspan of merely 35 to 50 centimeters, a weight of just 40 grams. Its anatomy speaks of a completely different life. Huge, forward-facing eyes granted it exceptional binocular vision, perfect for judging distance. All evidence points to a single conclusion. Anurognathus was a nocturnal hunter of insects. Picture a Jurassic evening. The alien stars burn brightly in a sky free of pollution. The air is thick and warm. Above the dark lagoons, shadows flit and dance with an agility that rivals any bat. They are hunting, catching primeval moths, beetles, and dragonflies on the wing. Their tiny, needle-point teeth were perfectly suited for gripping the chitinous bodies of their insect prey. They were the tiny, nocturnal ghosts of their age, from giants that strode across the land and took to the air, to tiny phantoms that owned the night. The pterosaurs conquered the sky in every conceivable form. They were not monsters, but masterpieces of adaptation, each one a unique solution to the eternal problem of survival. Their reign, which must have seemed eternal, was but a chapter in the planet's vast, unfolding story. a silent testament to the endless ingenuity and the ultimate fragility of life itself. A new dynasty was taking to the skies. The pterodactyloids had arrived, and with them, the very definition of a flying reptile was about to be redrawn. The old blueprint was torn asunder. The long reptilian tails that had balanced their ancestors vanished into evolutionary memory. Necks elongated into graceful serpentine columns, while jaws stretched to impossible lengths. In many, teeth were lost entirely. Replanes in limbs, once suited for little more than an awkward shuffle, strengthened, granting them the power not merely to walk, but to stride across the prehistoric landscape with an unnerving confidence. But the most dramatic change of all was one of pure scale. The pterodactyloids were becoming giants. Consider the magnificent pteranodon. With a wingspan stretching from 2.5 to a staggering 8 meters, it was a sovereign of the Cretaceous oceans. Its most striking feature was an enormous crest sweeping back from its skull, a rudder of bone and soft tissue that was sometimes longer than the head itself. Its beak, utterly toothless, was a precision instrument, perfectly adapted for snatching fish from the waves below. These were not frantic flappers. They were sing from the warm seas, hanging suspended between sky and water for hours, barely needing to move their wings as they scanned the depths for the silver glint of a schooling shoal. Yet even the mighty pteranodon is but a shadow next to the true titan. From the dust of ancient North America emerges Quetzalcoatlus, a name borrowed from the feathered serpent god of the Aztec people. This was no mere animal. This was a biological event, the largest creature ever to achieve powered flight in the 4 billion-year history of our world. Its wingspan is estimated at 10 to 12 meters. Standing on the ground, it reached a height of 3 meters, its head held as high as that of a modern giraffe. Its weight is calculated at up to 250 kilograms, the equivalent of 3 fully grown men. The question is not just how it flew, but how such a behemoth could possibly exist. The secret lay in a unique anatomy. Bones thinner than a sheet of paper, hollowed out and filled with air, yet engineered for immense strength. These were connected to enormous muscles, power plants designed for the single, awesome purpose of driving its colossal wings. But recent analysis, a collaboration between Japanese and French scientists, has painted a startlingly different picture. Through sophisticated aerodynamic models, they discovered that Quetzalcoatlus was, by all accounts, a poor flyer. Its wing loading, the ratio of its weight to its wing area, was more than double that of the heaviest flying bird alive today, the Cory bustard. It was comparable, in fact, to a single-seat motor glider. The implication is profounder. If its dominion was not the air, then where? The answer lay on the earth. Here, Quetzalcoatlus was transformed from a cumbersome flyer into a terrifyingly efficient predator. Its long, powerful neck and sharp, toothless beak became a lethal weapon. Its strong hind limbs allowed it to seize anything it could reach with its meter-long beak. Small dinosaurs, unwary lizards, the young of larger species, all were on the menu. 70 million years ago, in the famed Hell Creek Formation, this creature walked among legends. It shared its world with Tyrannosaurus rex, with vast herds of Triceratops and duck-billed hadrosaurs. Imagine the scene. A herd of Edmontosaurus grazes peacefully as the silhouette of a tyrannosaur watches from the tree line. And towering over them all, a 3-meter-tall bipedal stalker, a living knee. But a final enigma presents itself. The fossil remains of Quetzalcoatlus are often found 400 kilometers or more from the nearest ancient coastline, in environments with no evidence of large rivers or lakes. This creature was not just a wader of the shorelines. It was a terrestrial hunter of the inland plains, a predator that had conquered the land as thoroughly as its ancestors had conquered the air. The bones do not lie. They simply wait for us to ask the right questions, forcing us to see that in the deep past, life found solutions so strange and so magnificent, they defy even our own mythology. The image is a familiar one, etched into our collective memory. A winged reptile, a master of the open ocean, snatching fish from the waves. But this vision is incomplete, a mere fragment of a far grander story. For the largest of their kind, the sky was not a hunting ground, but merely a highway. They were terrestrial stalkers. Imagine a prehistoric stork, the size of a giraffe, striding across the primeval plains. This was no fisherman. This was a predator that consumed anything unfortunate enough to cross its path, a true tyrant of the Cretaceous landscape. And it was just one face of a dynasty that conquered the globe. Pterosaurs were everywhere. From the frozen poles to the sweltering equator, across every continent and in every conceivable climate zone, they reigned. In the humid undergrowth of ancient forests, tiny species, no larger than a sparrow, flitted through the twilight, hunting insects on the wing. Along the vast inland seas and river systems, medium-sized hunters patrolled the waters, their serrated beaks perfectly evolved for seizing slippery prey. The great coastlines of the world's oceans were the dominion of giants, soaring on thermal updrafts as they scanned the waves below. And on the land, the true titans held court. The Mesozoic sky was a tapestry of life so dense, so varied, that we can scarcely comprehend it today. How could such a dynasty, 160 million years in the making, simply vanish? 66 million years ago, a celestial executioner kept its appointment with Earth. An asteroid, miles wide, struck the planet in the shallow seas of what is now Mexico. The impact unleashed the energy of 1 billion atomic detonations, gouging a scar on the planet's face that is still visible today. A cloud of superheated dust and vapor enveloped the globe, blotting out the sun. A long, dark winter descended. Temperatures plummeted, plants withered and died, and the intricate food webs that had sustained life for eons collapsed into ruin. And the pterosaurs, the undisputed masters of the sky, for a period longer than the dinosaurs ruled the land, disappeared forever. What did they leave behind? This is a question that has long haunted paleontologists. A common assumption links them to modern birds, a logical but incorrect leap of imagination. The truth is more profound. Birds are the living descendants of theropod dinosaurs, small feathered carnivores that walked the earth. The pterosaurs were something else entirely, a separate, parallel experiment in flight, branching from the archosaur family tree long before. They left no heirs. Not a single living creature on Earth today can claim them as an ancestor. Their extinction was absolute, a biological dead end that makes their existence all the more astonishing. An entire order of animals, one that dominated the planet's airspace for most of the age of reptiles, was erased without a trace. All that remains are their fossilized bones and our enduring fascination. Popular culture has often muddled their story. When a film depicts a colossal flying reptile, a character might exclaim, "Look, a pterodactyl!" But in that moment, you will know the truth. The actual Pterodactylus was a relatively small, fish-eating creature with a wingspan comparable to a crow's. The winged monsters of the silver screen are the true giants, the Quetzalcoatlus, the Pteranodon, and dozens of other spectacular species, each with its own unique history, its own ecological niche, its own secrets locked in stone. Nature spent 160 million years experimenting with flying reptiles. This grand evolutionary project produced hundreds of species, from nocturnal hunters with the delicate wings of a bat to titans with the wingspan of a small aircraft. and in a geologic instant, they were all gone. The asteroid did not discriminate between the great and the small. Every last pterosaur perished, but their bones tell a story. It is a story of how evolution can conjure the seemingly impossible. A story of how life finds a way to conquer the sky. A story of how fragile creatures, with bones thinner than paper and hollowed out for lightness, could become the sovereigns of the aerial ocean. Today, in museums across the world, their skeletons hang in silent flight. We gaze up at them, trying to imagine the flesh and life that once animated these forms. What color were Unser calls across the prehistoric sky? How did they communicate, raise their young, or how long did they live? For so many questions, we have only silence. Yet each new discovery offers a whisper from the past. In China, a fossil of a female pterosaur was unearthed with 2 eggs preserved inside, a stunning glimpse into their reproductive biology. They are a silent kingdom, a testament to a world where the rules of life were written differently. Their fossils are not just relics of a lost age. They are a profound reminder that even the most successful, most enduring dynasties are ultimately subject to the dispassionate forces of the cosmos. Deep within the limestone quarries of Brazil, a miracle of preservation comes to light. An echo of life etched in stone for 110 million years. It is not merely bone, but the ghost of muscle, the very sinew and fiber that once powered flight, captured with impossible fidelity. Across an ocean, on what was once a vast island in the heart of modern-day Romania, another story unfolds. Here, the remains of a titan, a predator the size of a giraffe, tell a tale of adaptation and dominance in a lost world. Science, in its patient, relentless pursuit, is constantly pushing back the darkness. What we know today is but a sliver of what we will understand tomorrow. Perhaps in a decade, our knowledge of the pterosaurs, the true masters of the Mesozoic skies, will have expanded tenfold. Until then, we are left to gaze at the sky and to imagine. Imagine a warm Jurassic morning. The sun ascends over a tranquil lagoon, its light fracturing across the still water. Without warning, the surface is broken. A squadron of Rhamphorhynchus patrol the shallows, their long, tooth-filled jaws snapping shut on unwary fish in a flash of silver scales. In the dense forests that fringe the shore, a different kind of hunter stirs. The Anurognathids, creatures of the night with wide, forward-facing eyes and MO, high on a sun-drenched cliff face. A lone sentinel unfurls its wings. A membrane of skin and muscle, a marvel of biological engineering, stretches taut. It feels the wind, waits for the perfect thermal updraft, and then, with a powerful thrust, it leaps into the void. The air is a tapestry of life. The sky belongs to them. We yearn for such a spectacle, for a machine that could carry us back across the eons. To stand on the shore of that warm sea and simply watch them live, hunt, and communicate. And yet, in a profound sense, such a machine already exists. It is not built of steel and wire, but of patience, intellect, and the earth itself. It is the science of paleontology. Every fossil is a portal. Each fragment of bone, a page torn from Earth's forgotten history. Scientists are its careful custodians, reading a language written in stone, deciphering the narratives of worlds that have long since vanished. They share with us these astonishing stories of life before our own. It is this deep history that reveals a common and perhaps forgivable error. The name that echoes in the public mind, Pterodactylus, belongs to just one small, crow-sized fisher of the European archipelago, a single character in an epic saga. So when the word is spoken, it need not be an occasion for sharp correction, but for wonder. An opportunity to share a greater story. A story of how one small creature became the emblem for an entire, breathtaking dynasty of flying reptiles. A story of incredible diversity, from creatures that could fit in the palm of a hand to titans that commanded the skies with wingspans rivaling a modern fighter jet. It is the story of how science unravels the deepest mysteries of the past, one tiny fragment at a time. For 160 million years, they reigned. For now, we can only look to the heavens, the same sky they once commanded. We see birds, their distant, feathered relatives, tracing paths across the clouds. But the memory of that ancient dominion lingers. It is a humbling reminder that the world we inhabit is but a single frame in an impossibly long film. The sky was not always ours. And in the grand, silent epic of geological time, it is a privilege simply to be able to look up and wonder who might claim it next. 150 million years before our time, the sky was not an empty space, but a kingdom. Here, vast, leathery wings stretched against a primordial sun, casting fleeting shadows upon the warm, shallow seas below. These were the pterosaurs, masters of the Jurassic air. They rode the thermal updrafts with an effortless grace, their sharp eyes scanning the waters for the flicker of life beneath the surface. Their calls, alien to any sound we know today, echoed across a world teeming with colossal life. It is a vision that exists now only in the architecture of fossilized bone and the landscape of dreams. A silent testament to a time when reptiles, not birds, held dominion over the heavens.